another great episode of the Hiring Room. I'm super excited. Kasey is joining me today. Kasey, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here and to be in the hiring room.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to hire you today, but we are going to talk about some good things. So, interesting because obviously I've been in the recruiting business for a long time and I obviously know who ADP is. But, you had a really successful career with ADP. So why Entravia? First off, what does Entravia mean?
So, you want the real story? I don't think I've said this on a
Yeah,
podcast
because
before.
trust me, I've had a number of companies that I've built, and it's always interesting to find out how you kinda sat in a room and figured it out. This one guy, we just
Yeah.
yeah, tell him because I gotta tell you, I had a guy on who's a founder of Truffle Hire. It's like, what's with Truffle Hire? Is it the pig or is it like what? And so it was the chocolate, it was the pig. It's kind of combination of both. So it's always fun to hear the stories of how people get their names.
A first name, we're not even going to give it the light of day, but I had a different name that I thought was like really had a cool double entendre.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I was bringing it forward when we raised our pre-seed, and our lead investor was like, "Hey, so we're going to issue a term sheet. Really excited to work with you. Hopefully, we can." Feedback not conditional on like accepting the term sheet or it being issued. Your name is just not that great. And I think it like pigeonholes you into doing this one thing for a long time. And like
Okay.
you might want to think before you get like too far down the road of coming
Yeah.
up with a different name. And so I was like, okay, gosh, how do I like how that's actually really good feedback that I agree with now that I see it. How do I pivot that really quickly? And so here's the actual story. I like to walk, and so I do these like 45-minute walks around the neighborhood, and I put on Chat GPT's voice service and argued with it for 45 minutes of like, all right, here's what the name is, and like we need to change it, and here's like my vision, here's my background, and I just like beat it up until I came up with Entravia. And I was like, all right, this needs to sound like a tech company, but
It
here's
does.
like the ethos of what
It
I'm
does.
trying to do. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
how we actually came up with it. So it's a combination of Entra and then Via. Entra being like the entrance, and then Via being the way. So it means like the way in or the way forward.
Okay. I mean, you wouldn't pick that up, but I like if it feels that way. But it does sound like a tech company. When I was naming
Yeah.
companies, we had this stupid software that would like smash words together and you'd say, yeah, yeah. And she'd be like, what about this? And they would give you all these this was before chat. So you'd have all these different combinations. You're like, that's really naming's hard. And the thing is kudos to you. Well, someone's writing you a check, so that's a good reason. But you get you're attached to it, so it probably wasn't easy. Because you marry it's a lot of emotional people don't get it. You get emotionally married to the name. It's like a big deal because you can't
Yeah.
change it. I mean, you
It's
don't
really
just
weird.
change it. You don't just change it,
You don't just
you know?
change your own name. You don't
Yeah,
just like
well,
get to
that
18 and you're
too.
like, I'm Casey, but now I'm Bob. Oh, sorry.
I
Like, I
totally
don't know.
get
That's
it.
not how that works.
And so, how did you get I mean, it is not easy to get Series A seed money. Not that your
Yeah.
idea
Yeah.
isn't good, okay? I'm not saying that because I did go look at it, but it's not easy to do. I pitched. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna be really brief, is because you're at ADP, we built an app. I'm not gonna get into the details on the app. It was before apps were easy to build a couple years ago. Spent way too much money, had a couple partners. Great idea, got into something I didn't understand, but I pitched Tom Golisano from Paychex.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I see you can
Small
appreciate that.
world.
He's kind of a legend. Did you pitch to him too?
Yes.
He doesn't
No.
like
Well, as of the recording, we've not pitched him anything. I'll
he
say that.
doesn't really invest in tech.
Fair.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we
That's
knew
really cool,
someone
though.
that knew someone and we did the pitch. Of course, I was on the financial side of it, but it's an experience to raise money. It's hard. So
It
kudos to
really
you.
is. Thank
Congratulations
you. Yeah.
to you. Congratulations to
Thank
you.
you. I think a lot of it is time and team, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the idea. What's funny about the idea that Intravia is embodying is that it's not mine and it's not really all that unique. And I'm not saying that if like I stole it, but if within the HCM or PEO industry, if you've gone to enough happy hours, like this kind of thing has approached and felt relatively inevitable. I think the difference is I actually did it. So that
Yeah.
was the first thing of like, instead of talking about it or instead of theorizing about it, like actually taking one step and then another step and then another step to try to make it happen. That was the first thing. But, second thing, like, shout out to the lead investor and the co-investor, so
Yeah.
M25 and Cambrian, because they saw. But the third thing's really interesting, I think, and this is what I attribute it to in addition to my team being really great, but the advent of AI, I think, is driving, at least as of the recording right now, Q1 in 2026, toward industry specificity, because with AI, and AI is tearing down the moat of tech and software. And so what's left is industry context or context behind workflows that like a Stanford dropout isn't going to inherently know. And so I think that that's been like part of the timing being a little bit serendipitous, is like I've been in the same industry for 10 years, and even when it was not really clear as to why, I got an MBA, I got PHR certified, I got fundamental payroll certified, even being on the go to market and sales side. So then fast forward, now I actually have a bunch of tribal knowledge that like you're not going to understand unless you have that. So then that was part of, I think, what allowed them to take the risk.
It's interesting you say that because I feel like, okay, so you and I are in agreement with this because having that knowledge and being on the ground like that is an education that you can't read about, you can't research about. You have to, it's like you're living it. And when you live with it, your expertise is just different. So I think that if I was going to invest, I'm probably looking for a guy who knew PEO pretty damn good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Of course. So tell me the story. Did you already have clients? Usually you have to have something happening because, doing a tech company takes a lot of resources and money. We're using someone overseas. Tell me kind of how you even got to where you're at right now.
Yeah, no,
A lot of
I
work.
didn't use anyone overseas. As far as the technology itself, this is going to sound a little bit odd. I built it. I'm not technical in my background. The most interesting thing I've done was being VP of revenue for a PEO, and so I've been in the industry like in the executive level, but all on the go to market side. But I've really spent a lot of time serving the startup community and the tech community, and go to a lot of
Mhm.
those events, and it was found interesting. And I had somebody like come to me once and say like, "You're always at these events. Like, why don't you do something? Like, why don't you start something?" I'm like, "Cause like I'm not really all that creative. Like, I don't have like business ideas. I'm not like the classic entrepreneur." And they're like, "Well, if you could do something, what would you do?" And it was Entravia. And I was like, but I don't have like 100 grand to
Yeah.
go like build the
Yeah.
app. A and B, I don't know how to code, and C, I'm not going to go learn. So like whatever. And so the MVP was built with AI. Like I actually leveraged AI
Claude.
lovable.dev and
Okay.
built the MVP. I'm not saying like that's what's like going on today, but to actually
That's all you
prove the
have to do
concept.
though is build the MVP. That's the whole point of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did that and got some early traction just to prove the point. And I think why that ended up mattering was because you were able to see that somebody would transact that way. Like it actually,
Huge.
the proof was there. And that like I have the bias toward being really capital efficient, especially as like a Midwest founder. That's really important. And so then it's not like we got like a pre-seed round that was equivalent to what like a Y Combinator grad was getting.
Right.
But at the
Right.
same time, it was like, "Hey,
Right.
you're actually probably gonna be able to do something with this." And I think, again, like, that was more of the point of matching industry expertise, showing that this actually could happen and we could use something and build on it. So then when we got the funding and we hired, Logan, who's our founding engineer, then things were able to really take off because now we're able to, like, take every bit grunt of product feedback, understand what it means, and then actually give it to someone who knows what they're doing.
Well, and the thing is now you're the go-to-market guy, so you know how to sell. I mean, that's 9/10 of the problem sometimes is you could have really great ideas, but you know how to get it to market. So, I mean, that expertise, I mean, you know how it works. I mean, and I'm sure you're working a lot of hours. I'm sure you're doing a lot too
Yeah.
because it's a lot. I mean, it's super fun, but I don't think people understand the grind. It's very you're young, like you've got the energy for you'll do good. I mean, you're already on your way. I love that because I am your typical entrepreneur. I have ideas. They call 'em I mean, I had as neuroscientists tell me I'm a strategist, which is basically I have a lot of ideas, but you have to execute. Like, it's great to
That's
have a lot of
funny.
ideas, but you've gotta execute, right? I like all the pre-stuff to it. I like all the dreaming and the fun and the strategy and all that, but I'm just like, "Oh, like, so how are we gonna sell this thing?" It's an interesting thing. So, are you happy you did it?
Very happy. Yeah, it's
Yeah?
been a really great ride. Completely, you might not have guessed it, but the second hire I made was someone to replace me. So it was
Oh, that's smart.
John, who is our chief revenue officer. and he has more experience, but as far as within PEO, identical amount of experience within the industry, different vendors. He's also a licensed broker and has that context. But that was what was really interesting about that between him, myself, and then our founding engineer Logan. What that did was allow me to like work like on the business, not just in it. And that was the
Well,
first thing. You hear about that, and actually doing it is a different thing. But the second thing was he was able to, because it wasn't his. We talked about like the name and being attached to it. Obviously, he has
yeah.
equity in the company, so it is his. But he was able to productize the revenue model. Whereas
Mm,
me being too close to it, like he was able to innovate above and beyond that and unstick things. And so now a lot of what I do is being the mouthpiece for the organization, fundraising, doing like high level alignment between us and our clients or us and our prospective clients, and then making sure that we're resourcing it and that the vision is there and that we're, that kind of stuff. Whereas a lot of folks I don't think would have expected the second hire to be someone to replace my strength,
I
but
think
that
that's
also
really
was good.
I think that's really smart. I mean, I think that's, think
Thank
that's
you.
very smart, to be honest with you.
John's gonna listen to this and be like, "Where's my raise?" But thank you for that.
No, 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 because I think it's people have ego ties to it. Sometimes it's safe. You feel safer there.
Mhm.
So now you're pushing yourself into an area you don't know and you have to learn. And so and maybe you're like, I don't really want to spend my money on something that I can do. I mean, that's the other big decision you have to make, right? Because you have so many resources. You don't have you don't have like an unending stream of like people aren't writing you checks just to write checks, right?
Nope.
Right.
I
Yeah.
wish.
And
Not yet.
yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I got it. Then you have to then you play the whole like delusion game. I've been through it. If you ever need some therapy, just call me.
Oh, I need therapy, but that's a separate story.
Yeah, but you're gonna do great. I mean, you're already set up.
Thank you.
I think it's fantastic. So you now I looked at your background and it said something like, wait a minute, on LinkedIn, it didn't say you were doing this that long. 4
Yeah,
months
I
or something.
haven't been. That's the point. Yeah, I
And you
haven't
really
been.
only been doing this for a couple of months?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So
Look, how could you get all this
again,
done?
context really matters. Context really matters. So you might be listening to
Yeah,
this and you're not familiar with like the HR outsourcing PEO game. Like
I'm
starting
not.
this in December is really interesting because a lot of the new implementations in this industry go live January. And so
Makes sense,
when
right?
you're doing
I get
that,
that.
yeah, a lot of folks that already just went through the pain of what I'm solving. So that's the first thing where people are like, they're not so busy collecting the business and they're really worn out from the thing we're solving. That's the first thing. The second thing is again going back to the industry context and having people to delegate to. We John, bringing him on expanded our network between, so I was at ADP and TriNet and another PEO. He was at his PEO was acquired by Venture, which is the largest of in the industry, and then he worked for another PEO as well. And
This is
so
the guy
like
you hired? This is the guy you just
yeah.
hired?
Yeah. So between us, like the majority of the industry, if not all of the industry, is a first or second degree connection. So then
Yeah.
the third thing of why this was able to go fast, well, like Logan coming on board to be able to actually like make this real and not just like a vibe coded MVP was huge. Then you combine that with we are actually saying the thing that like sends shivers up everyone's spine of like that this is the thing in our industry, in our niche that everyone has been talking about, no one's actually done. It's the thing that like is at happy hour. So then when we say these things on LinkedIn of what we're trying to solve and we get the meetings with these people between first and second degree connections, like it's like a siren song. You know what I mean? Like this is the thing they want to solve. We know it is, and we have actually been making progress on it and we can prove it. And so now it's early enough in the year right now in mid-March where actually you can start doing some pilots and you can test this out ahead of the busy season. So timing and industry expertise and iterability is allowing us to have the traction.
So the first thing out of investors' mouths is always this, and you know this. Why are you different? What distinguishes you? What's your onlyness? Whatever, right? So it sounds like you're the first entry. You're a disruptor in this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's actually attempted all of it outside of uh,
Mhm.
I want to be fair. What I'm aware of, there's a professional services firm that attempts to do this with professional services. One part of what we do, just but with like not tech professional services. And then there is a like a homegrown enterprise SaaS that has
Yeah,
one client that kind of does part of what we do ish. But no one has done the entire thing. No one has done it AI native, which I think is also relevant because of the direction that
of
everything's going and
course.
processing
Yeah,
the data.
yeah.
And I think the onlyness is two different things. It is industry expertise, like that actually understands software, that isn't scared of software. I understand it enough to be able to communicate with Logan, for example. He is our founding engineer. The second thing, the onlyness we're hoping and we're expecting is distribution. This
Mhm.
is what we are upsetting is PDFs and Excel spreadsheets. And so if
Okay.
our thesis is moving quickly enough will not will force distribution, number one, and number two, the industry has already proven that it doesn't switch things very quickly or well.
Well, I was gonna ask you that. Yeah, I was gonna that
Yeah,
was one of the things I asked you because well, first off, let's rewind for 1 second, okay? So, even though I'm
sure.
in the hiring space, even though HR can be one of my client, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm in this space. I understand, some of the tools. I don't use them. I'm not in corporate, right? What specifically does your platform solve? Like, what are the 2 or 3 main problems it solves for their client for your
I was hoping you could tell me that because I'm trying to still figure it out. I'm kidding.
I did go on the platform. I did go look at some things. And again, like this, the only thing I know about the is it PEO? Is that how you say? Is that what it's
PEO. Yeah.
PEO? Is that the hiring is outsourced for companies. They're always a pain in my ass.
Yeah. They can be.
Yeah, they're never my friend. Usually, I know this was with a bigger company though, which I don't know why. Well, maybe they thought it was more. I think it's more efficient. It was with like Case New Holland. It was years
Mm.
ago. VP of Finance. One of my people called the VP of Finance, and they were trying to find a director. They couldn't find a director. They wanted to meet with us. I go and meet the guy. And, he goes, "I can't find it." And okay, first off, you have it's outsourced to like 10 contingent recruiters, and then your PEO has 10 spots, 10 slots of resumes. So you have 10 firms mad dashing to just fill up this pipeline with crap, and then you don't see anybody, right? That's what's happening. I said, "So if you want me to help you, this is how this is gonna go. I'm not going through the PEO process. So I'm not doing it. If you want to get this done, it's you and me. We figure this out. We'll get you a director." And that PEO firm, Kasey, would call me weekly and scream at me. And I'd go,
I bet.
"Go call the VP in Casey Holland." So I see some limitations on some of the stuff, and I'm not trying to bash, the PEO firms or anything like that or you. I'm just saying is
Go ahead.
that that's all I really know about them, right? That's all I really know. And I know my clients use them and they use them for just benefits sometimes and just other things. They may not use them for hiring. I'm
Uh-huh.
sure it's like an
Uh-huh.
a la carte, right? So anyway, it's a long story to tell you that. But so tell me the problem itself, because I do want to hook you up with a guy out of Chicago. His name's Brendan Nichols. He was a guest in the hiring room. Go look at it. He's a broker for Hub.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, he knows freaking everybody in Chicago. I mean,
Our lead investor is in Chicago, so I'm sure there's some connections there too. That's great.
he's also heads up. He was a president of the HRA out of Oak Brook, which is the second largest SHRM group in Illinois. And now
Yeah.
he's a director at SHRM. This is all volunteer for him. And he is a phenomenal human being. I love Brendan. And he pays it forward and he helps people. I mean, it was funny because I have a women's group that's for mental health and wellness for the workplace. It's called WISE. And I had this a CEO who was a founder of a menopause online company. And it's relevant because it's a like it creates a lot of mental problems for women sometimes. And so he had heard about this woman, unbeknownst, like he didn't tell me this, and he like reached out to her because he wanted to be able to. He wouldn't even make any money on it, but he wanted to be able to tell his clients that this could be a really good benefit for your company. Like this could be something interesting because she was doing that. She was, she goes to companies and says, this should be part of an offering for your, for your female employees. So he'll understand this, because he's worked for, some of the big firms like you did. And now he's a broker and knows what the people that you want to know, but he's fantastic. So remind me, I'll do like an introduction to you too.
That'd
So
be great. That'd
yeah,
be an excellent contact. I'm sure we'd be
yeah,
fast friends.
yeah. Well,
So
he's
what do
just
we
really
do?
nice. Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do?
So like um PEO is outsourced HR, outsourced payroll, employee benefits, workers' compensation insurance. It's the way that a lot of small businesses scale. Quickly, 200,000 small businesses in the United States use a PEO. We are not a PEO, just to be clear. That's
Right.
not us. We're not
No,
doing
I know
that.
you're not.
Cool. We have an opinion, which is that the industry should be bigger than it is. And it's 414 billion, growing 15% year over year.
Wow.
What's interesting is a lot of private equity and venture capital dollars have gone into these providers. Every single time there's consolidation, another one pops up. And so what's interesting is what
Mm.
I'm seeing inside looking out, investment dollars aren't growing the industry any faster than the providers themselves can scale. So there's that I'm going to put on the shelf. Then the second thing is uh, PEO has this like frenemy relationship with brokers, ironically, when you're talking about that. So when I
Okay.
say brokers, I'm meaning health insurance, like employee benefits, and then
Yeah.
property and casualty via workers' comp. Because oftentimes, not every time, oftentimes, when a PEO gains a client, a broker loses a client. And so there's a frenemy there. They have like some revenue sharing models that exist, but there was a frenemy thing there. So when I'm looking at it, I felt like this was just the obvious answer, but the industry isn't growing fast because of a couple of different reasons, and they're really basic.
The
So the
industry
first
being
one,
the industry being the PEO industry.
yeah, the industry being the PEO industry in the United States specifically, because outside of it, it's a different thing. So in the United States, PEO, it's not growing quick, even faster because PEO sales processes are like an enterprise level sales process to a small business. That's already hard. They happen for two different reasons. Something's going on with your insurance. It's too expensive. You need to expand it, or you're offering it for the first time, whatever. Or something's going on with your HR. I'm hiring, I'm firing, new states, whatever. Something's going on there, or
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
And then we as an industry, PEO, operates on Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, and email chains. And you need to get all of your HR, payroll, employee benefits, and workers' compensation insurance information and tax information all at once. And we're filling out all of these manual paperwork. And then there's the other thing, 500 plus vendors. So if you have the problem, I'm like, hi, I'm a small business who has these problems. I want to evaluate PEO. If you pick five, that's like a full time job for a couple months. I'm picking 1% of the industry based on marketing. And then the industry,
Sure.
because of these manual old processes, moves too slow to actually help me in a timely manner. So what we did is we fixed it. So we're in the process of fixing it. We're starting with the vendor alignment and the document and data collection and making that more modern, kind of like Plaid or something does for the financial services industry. Then we're going into speeding up and aligning the underwriting process. Then we're doing the same thing with implementing to be able to make this so that the right small business gets to the right vendors in a timely manner.
So it's
Then
almost
you
like
think about how do we
you're
actually do
almost
it?
like brokering PEs on the platform,
We are. That's exactly what we're doing.
right? That's what you're
Except
doing.
for we
You're matching
started
them.
by going directly to the business. And now what we do and why we've grown is we added a layer. So no small business is now at all really aware that they're using Entravia. We actually white labeled the entire thing. So then
Interesting.
brokers, a la your friend, get to use this because they're already servicing clients and helping them through PEO valuations. And so we allow them access for free. I can't get into exactly how because it'll be way too boring, but we allow
I
them
gotcha.
access for free to white label our platform. We also sell the platform to the PEO vendors themselves as a software. So voila, we instead of like fixing the problem and then raging against the machine, we fixed the problem and then like started cuddling with the machine. That's
So let me
Entravia.
ask you, I mean, the PEO, I mean, they're really SaaS. Well, I guess they're not really SaaS companies. I think about SaaS companies being at ADP and all that, but they're not really because you think they
ADP
would
has a
have.
PEO, for example, but they're not
So then
only a PEO.
why isn't their platform they're a SaaS co why isn't their platform have the reporting and make it easier for like they thought so they don't have the platform to help the small business with the reporting and the paperwork and
They
all the
do. It's just not they're not incentivized to help them leave. So that's the problem is like the data exists. Like almost all of the data you need to evaluate PEO exists on software today. Usually exists on many parts of software, but on purpose. I'm not going to call any specific vendor out because I'll get sued by doing it. But
I gotcha.
on purpose, most vendors hide something you need to evaluate PEO. They make you call it or they make it hard to find or something. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, and
So
this is where I'm like aligning with them
you're really bringing transparency into this situation.
100%.
Yeah.
If I'm them, why would I make it easy to leave? Like if
Well,
nobody's
right.
ever demanded
Yeah.
it, why would I I be the first one to make it easy to offboard my clients? No one's raising their
And
hand to
it's,
do it.
it's complicated. Benefits are complicated.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
So
whole
we're
process
the
is
ones doing it.
painful.
Yeah.
I like it. I
We're
think
doing that.
yeah, I like it. I think that I'm pretty impressed. I think that you're
Thank
set
you.
up really well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I think so too. But
Not that you need my approval
well,
or anything. I'm just
you've
saying.
been in space for a long time.
I have been in this
I
space for a
think
long
it's
time.
up to it.
Yeah.
It's like we need to why I get so passionate about it is like when a PEO is aligned and is a right fit, small business, employees actually get access to HR infrastructure and to benefits they never would have had in the first place. And so their quality of life and their family's quality of life is so much better. And on the complete opposite side, I've been in the industry, and when a small business gets aligned with a PEO that isn't a good fit, somebody gets fired or the business shuts down, or both. So it's like because
It's
these
an
are really
expensive
big
mistake.
decisions. Yeah, it's a huge mistake if you
Are
get
you doing anything
misaligned.
on
So
the
I'm like,
hiring side or no? Are you doing anything on the hiring side, a hiring platform, anything in the hiring side? Because if you do call me, I'll
not
advise
today.
on you. Because let me tell you
Thank
something.
you.
It's broken.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It is broken. And that's like
There's a lot of
another
ATSs and stuff that are out there, and I that's not my bag as much.
no.
So I'm
But
focused
it's
on
a
like
problem for them. It's
making the
not even the
soil
ATS
fertile.
side. It's the whole it's the it's even it's really, you know what? It's really the human process that's broken more than
Well,
anything else. But
that
like,
is I think you hit on that. I think we all need therapy going backwards a few minutes. But
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you
yeah,
can the thing about like software and AI, and this is what we're trying to be really cautious of, and we're telling people if you make a bad process go faster, you just
yeah.
produce more crap.
Oh, of course.
So
Of course.
we're trying to we're not that's why we're not being amicable to plug into the existing process. We're changing the process because if we make this thing go faster, we're just gonna have more car wrecks, like
Yeah.
proverbially.
Yeah. Well, I think this is amazing.
Thank you, friend.
You're welcome. So what is your go-to-market? You're like a go-to-market guy. Well, wait, let me just talk to you about AI a little bit, okay? Because
Let's talk about AI.
you're in the throes of it, man. You're in
I
the
am an AI bot. I'm not a real person.
yeah, are you, Casey? I'm gonna have to ask you something. I'm gonna see if I can get you into like some kind of a like see if I can get you into some kind of a pattern that you won't break, and then I'll know for sure.
Great question, Renee.
Yeah, great question, Renee. Renee, you're great. Did I tell you how great you are? That's what AI does. That's how great you are. I always say, "Don't tell me how great I am. Could you just tell me the truth? Don't tell me how great I am. Just give me an answer."
Mm, like that.
You're the AI that the way you're leveraging AI is, how do I want to say it? It just makes perfect sense, right? It just makes so much sense in so many ways. I'm seeing AI, and this is outside of maybe outside your box, but not really because you're hiring people. Now you're a founder.
Mhm.
Now you got to
Yeah.
hire people. Now you got to build a culture, right? Now you got Big Brother. You got some bosses. You got people writing you checks. So they want to know what their money's doing and what the returns are and what your EBITDA looks like. La, 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 la. So you got a lot. There's a lot happening, right? So tell me about that. Tell me a little bit about the culture you're trying to build.
It's a
What is your
good
vision?
question.
What do you want that to feel like, in 12 to 18 months? And are you building to sell? You going for the exit?
Yes. 100%.
Did
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
I would, you know
Back
what? If you didn't say yes, I'd be like, "Okay, we didn't talk offline."
when you talk. So
You
I'll
need to go
answer
for
the
the exit.
second question and then the first one. The second question, locally here in the Twin Cities, Brick Brimacombe, if you happen to be listening, advised me to listen to or read Built to Sell as I was having this as an idea. And that helped me understand a lot of things up
How to
front.
set
And
how to
it was
set
a
it up.
great book. Yeah. And also he didn't recommend this, but another similar book, The E Myth, Entrepreneur Myth, was
Oh, yeah,
very
that's an older
similar
but a
there.
goodie. Well, and that's
Yeah, both were helpful.
what you did, I could give you a couple more too, but what you did, by taking yourself out is an E-Myth concept, just so you know.
Yeah,
Well, you know that because
that
you read
like
it, right?
replacing myself
I
later.
actually hired an E-Myth coach many years ago with one of my partners and
Okay,
I. Yeah, they were really
that's
good.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. E-Myth is like, when you get in business for a while, it's kind of basic, but it's kind of one of those timeless. I mean, it's really one of the first books that really tell you the basics of scaling, but not at a strategic level,
Uh
but
huh.
more at of it's almost more of get you in the mindset of what has to happen to be able to do it, right? Like so replacing yourself is the concept that most people sometimes never understand, to be honest with you. I always tell people, you don't have a business if you can't, if your money isn't making business while you're sleeping. I don't have a business anymore. I had a big firm. We had a big firm. I go on vacation, my money rolled in. I had people, all that kind of stuff. I don't do that anymore. Now, if I don't work, I don't make money. I'm okay with that because I'm an old owl. I don't want to do it anymore. It's a choice. Yeah, I call myself an old owl. So it's a choice. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I did it in my 40s. I don't want to do it. But you're smart because there's a lot of good strategies out there that you really do need to understand, and then you'll make less mistakes along the way and your life will be a little bit easier and you'll have less friction. So it'll be easier. So back to that. So your culture. So you were
Yeah.
smart, build to sell, you got that mindset, E-Myth. Yeah. So what kind of culture do you want?
That's one of the things, and not fun because of ping pong tables. Fun because you actually can see that the work you're doing makes a difference,
Yeah.
and that you have autonomy to be a professional and adult to make decisions. That's when I see I'm having fun, John's having fun, Logan's having fun, is because of that. Like you can actually see that it worked, and whatever it is, you own it. And also, like because of that, when we fail, we're not Black Box Thinking is another great book. We're not like beating each other over the head over failures. We're seeing that as playing battleship. That's where the ship is not.
Yep.
Great. Now we know that's where the ship is not. And so like because of that, we're able to iterate and we have fun doing that and testing it. I think like people first. I mean, you'd asked earlier if I had outsourced anything overseas. I haven't and won't.
Okay.
We exist to serve people. Like I think that's the thing that we're part of the culture really trying to understand is like not using avatars for lack of a better term of who we're selling to and serving, not spreadsheets, but actual people with actual problems and how this is impacting them.
Yeah.
That's really important to us.
Okay. Now, are
I
you
think
guys
those are like the
virtual? Are you virtual?
basics.
Are you guys in the Minneapolis area together?
Both. So I'm in Minneapolis. Logan is in Minneapolis. We've met up to meet. We to work together twice, and then
Mhm.
John is in Houston. So this week
Okay.
he actually came up, and we all worked together for the first
Oh,
time. It's the
nice.
first time I met John.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's something I think super important. Proximity is power. I'm a big Tony Robbins. I went through all the Tony Robbins stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of proximity. I'm a big fan of face to face and
absolutely.
did you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill yet?
I haven't read that one. No,
You need to read it. 'Cause it talks about the third mind being created in an environment where you put great minds together, like the 4 you guys in a room, and the creativeness and the energy that kind of happens when everyone's together. They always say, like he talks about, like, a third brain is created, like a third mind is created, and you get even more, better ideas, greater things, and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's great that you guys meet together because I think that you probably felt it when you got together too, right? Like, how great it was.
totally.
So,
Yeah, we get
yeah.
to jam on things, and
And
I
even
think we
Minneapolis.
unstuck a bunch of ideas.
And you know this, Minneapolis has the largest amount of Fortune 500 companies in the country. They're
Sure
concentrated up
does.
there.
Sure
It's weird.
does.
People are like,
Yeah,
"Minneapolis, like, why?" But, yeah, I don't maybe there's some kind of a state law. I don't even you know what? I don't do you know why? I don't even know why.
I have ideas.
I don't know if it's
I
a
don't.
legal thing or I don't know what it is. I should probably look it up. But yeah, that's always been like that. So it's been a great recruiting it, like a lot of recruiters in Minneapolis. It was one of the markets I was like, I need to get to Minneapolis. But I really
Come
sort
on
of
out anytime in July.
yeah, thanks. I really sort of small to mid market though. So my jam is not the big companies. Probably more like your ICP because I that's who I serve. That's who need me the most actually too. Are people that don't have robust recruiting departments, right?
Well, Minnesota is a great place for that. If you have Fortune 500s, you also have companies that are built to serve them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So people first culture. Let me tell you something.
Innovation, I'd say.
Yeah, let me tell you something I'm learning about leadership. So
What are you learning?
have you now when you were a director, right? How many people reported up to you?
The max I've ever had is 14.
That's a lot. 14 is a lot of people.
It is. I was very tired.
Well, salespeople are the hardest people to manage.
Oh, yeah, we're all psycho.
I had before you today, I had my mentor on.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, and he had 2 successful exits in the staffing industry. He taught me the staffing side of it. I started in the staffing side, then I went to the permanent direct hire side, and he was a phenomenal leader. I've never seen anyone like him before. I wasn't as good as him. He was amazing. And then a really good friend of mine who's a CFO of North Star Aerospace about them, people follow her too. Like they follow her, right? Because one of the things that we'll talk about is leaders. We tend to promote people that are technically fantastic, and then we don't develop them in corporations. Like we don't develop people. We kind of let them figure
Sure.
it out themselves. And some people figure it out. Most people don't figure it out. Whatever. And so as I'm going through, I'm trying to see some of the patterns. Why are these great people? And interesting today, DJ said this almost the exact same thing that the CFO of North Star, Becky Aerospace, said to me. They said to me, great managers or leaders understand that you have to manage each individual differently. The process has to be tailored to that specific person and the needs of that person. And so a lot of times you'll see managers like, this is my way, this is how I do it, this is my manager style, this is what I do it. And they just kind of get out there and they kind of expect that their people to do it the way they do it. But they spend the time individually with people and figure out what their needs are. One of the things Becky has said to me was something to think about as you grow. She's really good at, say you hire, I don't know, you hired, and Joe's really good at 60% of his job. I mean, like a rock star, but he struggles with maybe 30, 40% of what he does. And maybe you can't take away the 40%, but maybe you can take 20% away of what he struggles and give it to somebody else. That's what Becky does. She looks at her staff like a chess game and she's like, you're really good at this. You're really terrible at this. Let me pull this out and put it here and let me give you more of this. She does this like a chess game and people just follow her. So it's amazing understanding the strengths of your
Yeah.
people. And then it's okay. Like instead of like firing somebody, you can say, okay, let's just move things around a little bit because you're so good at this and you're such a great culture fit. Let me see if I can meet your needs. And what I also find in recruiting is that people that are successful in jobs they take or in roles they take and they're retained is because the job or the role lined up with their priorities to begin with. So like it
Sure.
met their needs personally and professionally when they took the job, you know? So anyway, it was because I'm trying to see the patterns in it. Like, and so these are some of the patterns that I've been seeing with people as I talk through leadership. And I think it's really kind of fascinating, right? Because it's a hard job.
It
It's really
is.
hard.
Yeah.
And it's a different skill set, you know?
You have to continually filter for that. Like two different ideas just on what you were saying. A strength being something that somebody is good at and likes to do. Both have to be there for it to be a strength. Otherwise, it is just something you like to do. You like to do, but you might be horrible at it. You might be good at putting together PowerPoints and hate it, and people give it
That's
to
a
you because
really good
you're good at
point.
it.
Right. You're right. That's really good point. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it from that angle, but you're right. The other thing too is I had this. She's actually a friend of mine. This woman, I can even say her name. Her name is Rova Patel. She was the hardest worker. She wanted to get. She was internal recruiting at Orbitz. You don't know if you remember Orbitz Travel years ago, and she was an
Totally.
HR recruiter. And I hired her in. Hardest worker you ever want to see. This girl just was dedicated. And she was failing in the job. And I was like, "What is happening? Why?" And I would spend this time with her, time with her. And I realized that we in recruiting as a third party, you spend a lot more time. I don't want to use the word selling, but crafting stories to people. Like you have to be persuasive
Sure.
to some extent and you craft stories. And she just didn't know, she just couldn't do it. It wasn't her skill set. She just couldn't do it. And so I brought her in one day and I just said, look, I go, let me ask you a question. How much of your day are you struggling? And she goes, 80%. It's like, oh my God. That is not good. So 80% of your day, every day, you don't feel good. She's like, no. She's like, I'm struggling. And I said, okay. And I realized what was happening with her. And I said, you're in the wrong seat.
Yeah.
You need to find another role. This is not the fit for you. You need to do yourself a favor. I'm going to do yourself a favor. I'm going to actually move you out of the company. And she hugged me. She's like, oh my God, thank you. I just couldn't make the decision myself. And she ended up going to like culinary school. Now she went back
Love
into
it.
HR and stuff. And she went back into HR, but now she's like an HR corporate person and she does really great with her own hiring. But she had a hard time just like connecting with people, like different people representing companies. It's different, you know? It's different when you're representing an outside company and you're get someone excited about a role as opposed to when you're in your own company and you can tell your story. You know, this is a little bit of a different skill set. But you're right. Like people should be spending most of their time in a job that they're not struggling with and that they're happy doing, that they want to do that. Right. Like I think that's a really good point. And you'll see as it grows. So what is your like head count looking like in the next like 12 to 18 months? Or what do you think you have to get to?
I don't know that we have a specific number. I think our next hires are going to be in something operational or multiple operational
Yeah,
hires, either to keep the wheels on the bus or implementation and or customer success and scaling that function. We
yeah.
definitely need to lighten Logan, our founding engineers workload a little bit somewhere. My approach to hiring is like that it's, and this is probably antithetical to most tech startups. It's just that it's not a measure of success. It can be a lagging measure of success, but I really, as somebody who has hired even in just middle management, I see hiring as a mutual responsibility. Like, if you bring somebody on, you need to be pretty sure that their skill set meets your needs and will be their strengths. We talked about that. Then you need to be pretty
Absolutely. I
sure that
agree.
they are going to be able to have enough work to sustain themselves for a long enough time. And that you are reasonably sure that even within whatever potential pivots you might make in strategy in the near future, at least like your foreseeable future, that they would fit into that. And so I don't want to hire. Rippling in our industry does a really good job of this. They hire behind the work. Like they make sure the work is there. They ramp up
Mhm.
the work, and as the workflow starts to break, they start hiring. At least that's what some their founder said on a podcast once. That's
I
how I
will tell
approach
you,
it.
headcount's expensive, so you
It
shouldn't be
is.
adding heads unless you need to, right? So I'm sure that your investors will be giving you some KPIs on that one, like, you don't wanna be doing that, but you're right, it's like it's a very responsible lens that you're looking at it because, when I had 25 people working for me and I'd walk in that office, Kasey, in the morning, and this is how I felt. I walked in and maybe you feel the same way. I'd walk in and I see all my people and I'd think to myself, gosh, I'm responsible for 25 household. I'm responsible for
Yes.
25 right? I'm responsible
Yeah.
for feeding these people. So if I fail, I don't just fail them individually, I fail their families. And that's,
Yeah.
that's how I felt. And I think that when companies get bigger, they detach that way. Like I see some people, I don't know. I mean, even, when companies hire, they don't understand how the emotions of what that employee is going, like the person they're thinking of hiring,
Right.
they don't think about, I feel like they get desensitized. So it's like being a nurse, you get desensitized to like people's pain.
Yeah.
When someone leaves a job, they're going to everything in their life changes. Everything. They eat at different
Everything.
places. They eat at different places. Their route on the road is different or the train could be different. They park in a different space. When they walk into a different door physically, a different building, and the faces they see is different. Everything's different.
Everything.
Their whole life gets changed overnight. And yet we expect to do an hour interview, make an offer, and someone's supposed to be excited about it. And when I direct recruit, I'm poaching people. So when I call people, they're not necessarily in the market. So sometimes they take time to process it. What else do you, anything, I know we're closing in an hour here because I told you I'm not keeping you 2.5 hours. Anything that you wanted to add about any message you want to get out, anything you want to add that we didn't touch upon?
I think maybe just double clicking on why we're doing this. We're just trying to help folks. So if you're
Yeah.
even in a year listening to the episode and you see something related to what you do or you have an idea, like, reach out. We're trying to make this a big tent. We're trying to make this have a direct and indirect improvement on folks' quality of life if they're working in the United States. That's why we're doing it. There's a I think if you're going to do that, there's no one way of supporting that kind of mission, and that's why I wanted to communicate. That's why we're doing
Yeah.
it. So if you think you can be additive, or you know someone who could be, like your benefits broker friend, reach out. We'd love to talk.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, that's it's a done deal. We'll definitely do an introduction to him and anybody else I can help you guys with. I'll be happy to help. Well, I
Thank you, Renee.
think that I'm pretty impressed by you as a maturing founder here. It's super excited to hear what you're doing. Congratulations on
Thank
absolutely
you.
everything you're doing. And
Thank you.
I'll be watching you. I'm watching to see how things shake out. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. Obviously, we'll talk offline. Yes. Thanks for hey, Kasey, is it Devine or Dev? How do
It
you
is
say it?
divine.
Kasey Dev I like that. Kasey Devine. If you can't find him, I'll help anyone who needs to find him. Information will be here in the podcast at the bottom, his information. So Kasey, thanks so much. Super appreciate you coming on the hiring room.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me in the hiring room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at Renee@mseedinc.com. Thanks. Till next time.